There was a young man named Marco, 24 years old, who lived in a small village surrounded by mountains. Life seemed peaceful on the outside, yet within his mind there was no calm at all. Marco was constantly trapped in the whirlwind of endless thoughts. Day after day, one thought followed another, coming and going, leaving his mind restless and exhausted. Painful memories of the past haunted him, while worries about the future weighed heavily on his heart. Because of this, Marco rarely felt at ease. His spirit was unstable, like a storm raging inside his head. This inner turmoil not only damaged his state of mind, but also disturbed his daily life. Marco suffered from sleepless nights, unable to find deep rest, and even forgot the simple feeling of smiling happily. His soul felt as if it was covered in thick clouds, with no way out. The constant flood of worries turned a once energetic young man into someone weary, sorrowful, and stuck. Marco longed for peace of mind, yet he did not know where or how to begin. This was the starting point of his journey to search for the answer to inner peace. One day, Marco happened to hear a story about a distant village on the hills. People whispered that a wise old man lived there. In the past, he had been a well-known psychologist in the city who had helped countless people escape from suffering and discover peace within themselves. After years of dedication, he chose to leave behind the noisy city life and return to live simply in the quiet of nature. In that small village, he occasionally welcomed those who truly sought spiritual guidance and shared his wisdom with them. When Marco heard this story, a spark of hope rose inside him. He thought perhaps this wise man was the very person who could show him the path out of his endless cycle of anxiety and unease. That thought grew stronger each day, urging Marco to set out. Even though he knew the journey to the hilltop village would be long and tiring, his desire to find peace gave him determination and courage. Marco began preparing for the trip. He imagined that if he could meet this wise old man, he would surely learn how to ease his troubled mind. Inside Marco, a small light of faith slowly began to shine, marking the beginning of an important change in his life. After many days traveling the long road, with his body worn out and his legs almost giving up, he finally arrived. In front of Marco stood a modest little house surrounded by lush greenery. On the porch sat an old man with white hair, sitting quietly with his eyes closed, his face radiating a rare serenity. Marco stepped closer, filled with hope, but also with respect. Softly he spoke. "Grandfather, my mind is always restless. My thoughts never stop. I long to have peace in my heart. Please, will you help me?" The old man slowly opened his eyes, a gentle smile forming on his lips, his deep gaze seeming to pierce through all the worries hidden inside the young man. Calmly he replied, "If you truly seek peace, follow me. I will give you a small task." He led Marco to the yard in front of the house. Taking a glass, he filled it to the very brim with water, so full that even the slightest shake would cause it to spill. Handing the glass to Marco, he said slowly, "Carry this glass from here to the edge of the village and return. Remember, you must not spill even a single drop." Marco was astonished, unable to see how such a task could relate to the peace he was searching for. Yet, the calmness in the old man's eyes made Marco trust him. He accepted the challenge and began walking with utmost care, hoping that behind this simple test lay the answer to his troubled heart. As Marco held the glass full of water, he felt both nervous and determined. One careless step could make the water spill at any moment. Taking a deep breath, he began to walk slowly. The village road was far from easy. Narrow paths, crowded with people walking or running, shopkeepers shouting, dogs barking, and children playing noisily everywhere. The scene was full of chaos and distraction. Yet Marco ignored everything around him. All of his attention was fixed on the glass of water. Step by step, he moved steadily, holding his hands firmly, his eyes never leaving the surface of the water. Villagers looked at him with curiosity and surprise, but no one disturbed him, for they understood he was learning something important. After a long walk, Marco finally returned to the porch of the old man, the glass still full, not a single drop spilled. Overjoyed, Marco announced his success. The old man nodded with a smile and asked, "On your way, did you see the children playing by the roadside? Did you hear the barking dogs or the calls of the market sellers?" Marco was puzzled, then honestly replied, "No, grandfather. All I saw was the glass of water in my hands. The old man looked at him kindly and said softly, "That is the secret of peace. When your mind is fully focused on the present moment, there is no room for fear, no space for worries or useless thoughts. Peace does not exist outside. It already lives within you. By living wholly in the present, you will discover true calmness." Hearing those words, Marco's mind lit up with clarity. He bowed his head gratefully, realizing that the path to peace was not found elsewhere but within himself. From that moment, Marco was no longer the restless young man he had been. He had learned to keep his mind in the present, and a gentle, peaceful smile returned to his face. When the wise man's explanations settled in his heart, Marco felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted. In a quiet voice filled with gratitude, he said, "Grandfather, now I understand. If I want peace of mind, I must keep my thoughts here in the present. Only by living fully in this moment can true peace appear." The old man smiled warmly, his eyes shining with joy at seeing the young man grasp the truth he had long desired. By then, the sun was setting. Golden rays spread across the earth, and birds flew back to their nests, filling the world with a gentle stillness. In that moment, Marco felt his soul blending with nature, light, free, and clear. He was no longer haunted by the past, nor worried about the future. What mattered most was the present, the very moment where he was breathing, living, and smiling. Marco left the small house with a completely different spirit. He was no longer the anxious young man full of worries. His face now carried a calm smile, his eyes clearer than ever. He knew that life's journey would still bring challenges, but now he carried within him the key to peace, living in the present. The story ends with a profound lesson. Peace is not found in the outside world, but in the ability to keep one's mind still in the present moment. When we let go of the past and stop fearing the future, peace naturally blossoms within us, just as Marco's smile had returned to his face. After Marco found inner peace, the story leaves a message for all who listen. If you find value in this lesson, share it with friends, so others may also discover peace, as Marco did. It also reminds us that every story holds meaning and lessons that help us reflect on ourselves, slow down, and treasure the present moment. Finally, the closing words encourage us to keep following along, for there will always be new stories, new lessons to nurture our souls and inspire our lives. It is an invitation to live calmly, optimistically, and with a spirit of sharing. Like a gentle farewell, the ending offers both gratitude and encouragement. Always keep your mind still, so that each passing day becomes a meaningful journey. When we learn to be truly present, we will discover simple happiness, just as Marco found again his smile and the peace that had always been in his heart.